Hi friends! So I made a post earlier about dealing with anxiety, and I told you I'd do a follow-up post with information on things that worked for me personally when to be honest, I kind of had like a nervous breakdown. Like, I don't know what else you would call it. It just all seemed to hit me at once that I had anxiety, and it overwhelmed like my system, and I pretty much felt like I lost control of like who I was, and I couldn't think clearly. So I would pretty much call that a nervous breakdown. And so I'm not a doctor. I'm not a, clinical psychologist or anything like that. I know a lot of people say that, but I just want to say it again because I can't give you medical advice. I can't give you anything that will 100% cure your anxiety, but I can tell you what helped me personally. And, maybe it'll benefit you or something you can add on or talk to your doctor about and see what they suggest. First of all, I will say, when I went to my doctor, I was disappointed. I went in, I just felt really overwhelmed. I felt like I couldn't breathe, and then I was crying, and so she immediately prescribed meds. And I understand they have a limited amount of time. They can't see a lot of people all the time, spend like hours with me talking over things, and she immediately prescribed me meds and told me to just take them and it'd be fine. So I trusted that advice, and I didn't really look into what they were or if they were addictive or how it would change my day-to-day life taking that medication, like what all the side effects are. So I just really would encourage you that doctors are super smart people. They know what's best for you, but always like do your own research, always ask more questions. Like, I was so overwhelmed and panicked that I just didn't ask any questions, and I should have. So I encourage you to do that ask more questions, like if you have to be weaned off the meds. How long do they last in your system? What are the side effects? Because a lot of times those medications can have side effects like seeing hallucinating, or make you have dry mouth, or I don't even know, the side effects are just crazy, and you have to be weaned off of them. Like, you can't just stop them, and usually from what I've read, like once you start them, you'll probably be on them for your whole life. So I would just encourage you to ask a lot of questions. I didn't, and I think it led me to be pretty uninformed about what I was taking, and just like put it in my mouth and like hope that it would take all the pain away. And of course it doesn't. It's not a magic pill that solves everything in your life. It just helps you like basically get serotonin in your brain to make you happier. And it seemed to me it was like a one-all. So like, I didn't have clinical depression, but the drug like seems to deal with depression as well as anxiety, as well as like some other things. So there is like an all-encompassing, like the pill all encompasses a bunch of different things. So there's nothing to treat your specific thing. From what I researched and went through with my counselor, is that when you have anxiety, you really need to get to the root of what's causing that anxiety, what your triggers are. And to do that, maybe it's with medication, but it's also through talking and figuring out what from your past or what you're afraid of that really will help you uncover why you're feeling this way and maybe ease some of that tension. Like I said, my anxiety is not gone. Sometimes I still try to control my breathing, or I'm like, I can't breathe, and then all of a sudden I can't breathe because I'm thinking that way. So I would just encourage you to talk in addition to whatever else you do. So that's why I say I was upset that they just prescribed me meds. I wish they had told me, like, go meet with a therapist or a counselor, at least 3 or 4 times, and then come back to us and let us know if you still need medication. Like, I wish, but they don't have time to do that. That's the reality of the medical system, and that's okay. It's my choice to take the pills or not. They didn't force me to, so, but I wish they'd offered that suggestion, like, if you're having anxiety, you should really hook up with a therapist and try to get to the root of what your problem is, what your fears are, what it stems from, and how you can use tools to help overcome it the rest of your life. So, like I said, most people I know have suffered from anxiety, so it's not a rare condition. And then it's just hard for me to believe that like they're just gonna medicate everybody for anxiety who comes in with it. Like, I think if it's just like a growing thing in the country, It's just interesting that they don't suggest alternative treatments first and then come back for the meds. But that's how our government is, right? And the medical system set up where they don't have like tons and tons of time to spend with these patients. So, okay, the 3 things that help me the most. And I will say some of them are combinations like with other things. I'll get to that. But one of the things that helped me the most was journaling. I just got a notebook like this, cost maybe $1.50. And you guys, I just journaled all the time and just wrote, I am feeling, this is not real. Whatever's going on in my brain isn't true. What I'm telling myself isn't true. In the middle of the night when I wake up with anxiety, sometimes that's when it hits me the worst, is I would journal, just let out my feelings, whatever I was thinking about, and here's the true things that are actually surrounding me, here's what I know what's true, because I had to tell myself, you guys, what was true and what wasn't, because my mind was telling me a lot of information that wasn't real, it wasn't true, it was making me worried about so many different things that weren't real. After I started having panic attacks, I started worrying all the time and being anxious about having a panic attack in public or having a panic attack while I'm driving. So my panic attack led to worrying about having them. So journaling just really helped me get my feelings out at that time and seemed to release them in a way that just got them off my brain a little bit. And honestly, I have thrown away a lot of those journals. I don't want to even look at what I wrote. I'm sure it's psycho crazy, beyond. So I just threw them in the trash, and maybe you guys will want to keep them and read back and see where you come from. But honestly, I know mine was manic and I am awake, I am feeling psycho, I'm feeling my brain's telling, I know I wrote a lot of weird stuff and I don't even remember some of the stuff and I don't want to. So it's up to you. It's a place where I get my feelings out and then chuck them in the trash. But at least it's there and I can release it from my brain onto a page. So that's one thing I did. Another thing that really, really helped me is praying all the time. Sorry, I think my dog's outside. Praying all the time. I just renewed my faith so deeply. And I just did little devotions like this. Jesus Calling is such a great one. It just has a couple little scriptures and a short little thing for the morning. And then I'd read that. And a lot of times I'd journal about what I read or journal my prayers or, just talk to God. And it really just gave me hope, and every day, honestly, seemed to be talking directly to me. So it was pretty weird, whatever I was feeling, it was that I promise to meet all your needs, or don't be anxious, don't worry. So this devotional really hits home, especially if you have anxiety. And so I'd pray to God all the time, I'd journal all the time, I'd really talk to him. And I will say I watched and rented a lot of Joyce Meyer's videos. She speaks in a way that just really got to me in a good way and really spoke to my heart and my head and helped me think in a clear way. So I would recommend her videos too. In addition to that, really God-based things. God is I can say the only reason I got through it. I cannot express any other reason that I survived that time in my life except for Jesus. And I truly believe that. And I don't know if that brings you comfort or if you want to explore that part of yourself, but I would recommend just diving into it, talking with God, and seeing if, what that does for your body and your brain and your heart. So that, and I started exercising and changing my diet. And one of the main motivators for me was this book. I started thinking, hey, the pills they're giving me are trying to increase serotonin in my brain. There must be a way to naturally increase serotonin in your brain. This book is the holy grail. Honestly, I had rolling panic attacks. I found this book, and the next day, my panic attacks were manageable. I was curled up in a ball, rocking back and forth first one day, and then the next day, after starting this diet, I was okay, I'm still having it, but I can manage it. And I don't know if it was a placebo effect, possibly, or if it was the book. The book basically says that the United States is obsessed with having high protein, low carb diets, and that in order to produce serotonin in our brain, you have to have carbohydrates, and carbohydrates only. So you can't mix carbs with fats, carbs with sugar, carbs with different things. So it's got to be just carbohydrates. So this book incorporates a bunch of carbohydrate snacks into your day. And throughout this diet, I probably lost about 10 pounds changing just the way I eat. But it's carbs mixed with healthy food. So they say don't forget the pasta, don't forget those things, incorporate those. And they believe there's a correlation between all those high protein, low carb diets with the levels of anxiety that have gone up in the United States substantially. They've seen like that, anxiety meds prescribed have increased like crazy in the last several years, and they kind of see, hey, maybe it's because these fad diets people are on are robbing the brain of the serotonin it naturally creates and needs. So really interesting read, really awesome information. I would suggest it, and I do suggest it to anyone and everyone I know. So those are the 3 main things I did at home that really helped me get through the night. I will say some other tips is I went to therapy. It's expensive, but I thought if I'm going to pour money into something, therapy. So sometimes I'd go 4 times a week. Sometimes I only needed to go 1. So I had a great counselor I linked up with who was able to kind of just work with me and say, you need to come more. You need to come like 3 times this week, or you're good. We've checked in. I think you're doing okay. Like, let's meet once a week for the next month and see how it goes. Check in more if you need to, type of thing. So I had an amazing counselor. I also had a doctor that supported me and helped me through things and understood that I didn't want to take certain medications and prescribed another short-term medication that wasn't addictive, which we've, worked better for me. And I haven't had to use, but like I said, it brings me comfort just knowing it's there. And I was trying to think, there was one other thing that I did. I'll pop on and let you guys know in the next video if I can think of it. But those are the main things. Is I would just so recommend cognitive therapy, which is talking therapy. And if you guys can get into that, in addition with working with your doctor or who else, it's just so important, I think, for anxiety. And I took a lot of classes on anxiety and cognitive therapy and why it works for the brain. And I just researched the junk out of anxiety once I knew I had it. So, anyway, I hope you guys find that helpful. Let me know what's worked for you. Those are the 3 things that worked for me personally. And if you have other things, I'd love to know. And we can kind of discuss it. I'd love to hear your anxiety story, or if you suffer from those things, or if it's increased as COVID's gone on. I'd love to hear about that too. So subscribe if you want to see more of my videos. Give me a thumbs up and share if you would like to with your friends that suffer the same things. Maybe something will help them. Oh, that was the last thing I was going to tell you guys. I read, because anxiety would cause me to not sleep. I read, you shouldn't force yourself to sleep. So get up, do something productive. So I started painting in the middle of the night. And then I would get tired after I started painting a little bit. But forcing yourself to sleep and looking at the clock can actually cause a lot of anxiety. And so I got up and would paint at 2 a.m. in the morning and do something productive and something I was proud of. And so it was really cool. So that was another cool tip I got, is don't force sleep. If you're awake, get up and do something productive that you enjoy, that inspires your mind, and then you'll get tired and sleepy and then rest. So just resetting your brain clock is always helpful for me. So anyway, you guys, I hope you find that helpful. Subscribe. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.